So here we are in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic. And the question is, can you improve your organizational culture during this time? In fact, is it possible that this is even a better time to improve your organizational culture? Well, that's what we're talking about today in the Nights of Transformation. How the COVID-19 pandemic is actually the perfect time to improve your organizational culture. Hi, this is Arthur Carmazzi, best-selling author and currently ranked as the #4 thought leader in organizational culture, and let's get to it. Okay, so first of all, let's look at the current state of uncertainty and disruption. I mean, kind of like people are freaked out, right? I mean, everybody's kind of thinking, well, what's, going to happen? A lot of people have been laid off, people are working from home. There is a lot of uncertainty and disruption going on, okay? But one key thing is that people can't do work in the same way that they've been doing it in the past, okay? And they don't have a lot of the same problems or issues that they had in the past. Now they have new ones, all right? So let's look at how this can support improving organizational culture, all right? The opportunity essentially is that most of the time when things are normal, okay, the organizations are running smoothly, everything is fine, you got all your people doing all this stuff, and yeah, sure, you'd like to improve your organizational culture, but oh my gosh, who has the time? I mean, people have got to be busy doing their work. Well, here people still have to do their work, but what if they can't? Not in the same way they could. So now what else? How are you going to get people to kind of have the same sense of connection? And well, basically, this is what we're going to be talking about today. See, crisis brings people together if they have a common goal. See, the problem is that a lot of times organizations don't really have a common goal in this kind of a situation. They're kind of still going on the same stuff. Oh, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to try to do the same stuff that we were doing before, but we got to do it remotely. Well, not really practical in the sense of a person's psychology, because people have been used to doing it their own way. Now they've got to do it in a different way, and they've got to deal with that stuff at the same time. Okay, but what if there was something more? What if there was the promise of creating the ideal working environment when you got back? And what if you had that opportunity? Would you be more excited about it? Would you be more interested? Would you feel like you had a purpose? Like, wow, we as a group of people, even though we are far away from each other, can come together and create the ideal working environment so that when we go back, work, productivity, efficiency, engagement, communication, all of that stuff is going to be better. Well, let's look at what the ideal working environment is. Okay, we've actually asked this question. What's the ideal working environment? In 57 different countries. This is, of course, before the coronavirus. Okay, and what happened was that we found out that even though there was different cultures, different age groups, different people from all walks of life and different education and positions and everything, everybody had more or less the same idea of the ideal working environment. Would you like to know what that is? Of course you would. That's why I'm going to tell you. Okay, so first of all, one of the things was basically teamwork. People wanted teamwork. The other thing is they wanted to have trust. Okay, they wanted to be able to be trusted, to be innovative, to do things their own way. They also wanted to be able to trust other people to be accountable. Okay, and of course they wanted clarity. So clarity is like, well, okay, what do I need to do in order to succeed? What do I need to do in order to achieve my goals personally through the organization? So clarity comes with a lot of different things like transparency, like structure, like proper communication, like all kinds of stuff, right? Okay, and then of course they needed a supportive environment, an environment, well, basically where if I'm in the R&D department and I need to actually get something through finance, and it's just like stuck in bureaucracy, where I could actually go to the finance director and talk to them and things could happen so that I can do my job and feel like I am actually valuable, okay? And so then of course you also want the fun. People wanted fun. People wanted to basically enjoy their work and have fun. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Do these sound familiar to you? I mean, if you had all of this stuff, would that make you feel like you could be more effective, that you could be more successful at work, and so therefore even more personally successful? Well, that's what most people think. Okay, so human beings with purpose are far more excited, they're far more able to creatively solve problems, and basically they are more productive than people that don't have purpose. So what does all that mean? Well, if people have the purpose of, hey, look, we can achieve this bigger thing at the end of this virus, and we are going to be able to make something happen, well, that's going to increase people's immunity because, well, they're excited, they're passionate, compared to when they're fearful, where they actually have a lot of cortisol or uncertain or stress, which, creates a lot of cortisol, which basically makes your immunity system even lower, right? So we want to improve people's immunity by improving their spirits, direction, passion, and purpose. All right, so what do? We create the possibility of creating this perfect, ideal culture. It may not be perfect, but at least this ideal culture that they can create for themselves. Now, of course, in order to do this, senior management needs to get behind this and say, yes, this is what we're going to do, and you guys can do it, right? That's an important part. Okay, so let's look at the first thing that needs to happen. Before you can go anywhere, you need to know, well, basically where you are, right? It's like Google Maps. It needs a point of origin. So, first thing you got to do is benchmark your organizational culture. So we use the Ocean tool, which you can find at cultureevolution.com. cultureevolution.com. All right? So the Ocean tool basically is a simple tool that benchmarks your culture. You can try to do it by yourself, or you can hire a consultant to do it for you, and which, of course, is a lot easier, and they give you the report and everything. So once you have this culture audit, it basically tells you what level of culture evolution you're at. And what it does is it basically helps you to identify, oh, we're here. So that means it gives you an opportunity to say, hey, we need to go here. Okay, so these are the things that we're missing. Well, okay, that's good to know. And these are the things that if we had them, we could basically go up to this level, to the next level, or in some cases even a couple of levels higher, depending on what type of organization you are. We've actually had people go literally from the bottom all the way up to the top. Not as common, but definitely possible. Okay, so why do you need a culture audit? Well, okay, there's a whole bunch of different reasons that will help you, even though not all of them are specifically applicable now. But let's say, for example, you can maximize training ROI, and that includes online training. Okay, you can maximize the passion and excitement of new hires. Well, basically, they get to see that they're part of the culture, and they get to be indoctrinated, and they get to kind of see that culture is important, which means it's not just me doing a job. It's like, we want to create an environment where I can be successful doing my job. Okay, and of course, maximizing team efficiency, improving communication efficiency, identify leadership gaps, which is kind of important because sometimes, people, leaders, managers think that they're doing something really good, but it may not be interpreted in the same way by their staff. And so what ends up happening is that they don't change because they don't know that they're doing it wrong, and well, that creates more problems, right? And of course, the innovation improves and alignment with common vision and values, okay? And when we're talking about culture evolution, there's 5 different levels of culture. The lowest one is the blame culture, and of course the highest one is the leadership and rich culture. I'm not going to go into this, but if you want any of these infographics and more explanation on them, please just make a comment below and I will send it to you in a PM message, okay? So let's look at how this is going to help and the strategy that's really going to make this work. So first of all, of course, people know where they are, right? You've done the culture evolution audit. Now, people want to evolve to the next level. Why? Because people do that, right? And of course, management is important here because they're providing the platform, the guidelines, and more importantly, the permission for the people themselves to create the type of culture that they want. Okay? First, you're going to create teams, okay? And these teams are about 10 to 15 people per team. And inside of each of these teams, there should be an individual who's not necessarily a manager, but is kind of an informal leader, somebody we call a key influencer, right? And so they are going to kind of get their circle of influence and create teams. And we want to include everybody in the organization, okay? And they basically get together virtually to identify the ideal working environment they want. Now, we already know what the ideal working environment is, but it's important that they come together and identify it themselves, all right? So the teams decide the kind of guiding principles, okay, or behaviors. I mean, basically, how do you want me to treat you? How I want to be treated? And so they create guiding principles. We will treat each other in this way in order to essentially go to the next level of culture evolution and also basically create this ideal working environment. So here's the ideal working environment. Here is where we are in the level of culture. In order to create this ideal working environment, we probably need to, evolve a little bit. And these are how we should treat each other to do it. Guiding principles. So they come up with this, okay? The people do it. You come up with about 8 of them. Don't come up with 20. Oh my gosh, nobody remembers that stuff. Okay? And so then they also come up and they choose 3 main issues that they want to change. 3 things. Okay? We want to, improve maybe a process or something that is basically that most of the people agree that if it changed, life at work would be a lot easier and more effective. Now, this does not include salaries or bonuses or anything like that. Okay? And of course, the team then gets online and they consolidate these ideas and they come up with an action plan. So all these different teams are coming up with these ideas. Then the leaders of each of these teams get together, consolidate it, put it together, and say, hey, this is what everybody came up with. Okay, and so now you get the actions of the people who are going to carry it out. Okay, so everybody volunteers to carry out one particular portion of it. Now, some of it can be done before you go back to work, and some of it is ready for when you do go back to work. But the whole process, meanwhile, is getting people interested and excited because they have something to look forward to. I mean, really look forward to. It's not just going back to work. It's the creation of the ideal working environment when they're back at work. Now, think about the efficiency that this is going to be creating for your organization. Okay? And of course, then in order to make sure this gets implemented, your people are going to elect 2 to 3 people to basically be the liaisons between the people and senior management and basically kind of hold everybody accountable to what they said and make sure that things get done and consistently publicize what's going on. But of course, it's important that they feel like they have ownership. Why? Because when you own something, well, basically you feel it, right? Okay? So if you'd like to know the details of this entire process, okay, go to culturechange.academy. Right? Now this is going to give you literally all of the details of how it works and everything else, even though it doesn't necessarily talk about the virtual element. Everything here can be done virtually, okay? Then once you've done this, for about a month, after people have gotten together, then you use the Ocean Culture tool in order to basically measure again, okay? How are people connecting with each other? How has the organization evolved, even from just that one exercise, from coming together, coming up with, what they have done, the guiding principles, all these things, just those simple things. How has the organization evolved in just a month? And you will find, usually, unless something completely went wrong and people are just left to run amok, you usually find that the culture has improved. Now, what does that do when people can see that they have actually done something and it's worked? People get more excited and they continue. And so then you can use the same culture evolution tool to measure and keep benchmarking the progress of the organizational culture, which of course keeps people excited. Now, one of the things that we're doing, if you are an organization, we are also giving away a whole bunch of culture audits using the Ocean tool for absolutely free. All you need to do is just apply at this link. So, till next time, this is Arthur Carmazzi wishing you great success.